Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz and today is going to be the top 10 recommended drugstore foundations, which is all in a bucket here. And if they have corresponding concealers, I did go ahead and pick those up as well. I'm not going to be doing a full in-depth review, one because I'm not like a makeup critiquer. I'm just a makeup enthusiast. I can provide certain little tips and tricks, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a makeup artist, obviously, but I just love makeup. I do want to say this, finding my shade was a challenge. It's always a struggle, one, finding your right shade, let alone finding your right shade without being able to swatch it, and not for nothing to blend it in as well. Obviously the drugstore products don't provide any testers. Even if you go into Ulta, they just, I guess they don't want to allow that into the budget. Sometimes I saw recently at Ulta, certain companies did provide certain testers, but it might have been something that just the store individually did because there wasn't any actual spot for a tester. It was basically set up with the rest of the foundations. They just put a tester sticker on it and they might have just comped the product. Even at like drugstore, like Walgreens and Walmart and Rite Aid, stuff like that, CVS, they're not gonna have testers. They're just not. So I bought all these online irregardless. I was bouncing between Amazon and Ulta, and Amazon did have the cheaper listing, but I did go with Ulta. Sometimes they'll have the buy one get one half off, but those sales vary by the day. Also, I have swatches on from my previous video. I don't know in what order this is gonna go on, but I'm halfway into this and realized I have swatches on my arm. So I'm gonna just take that off just to not be distracting. Obviously, one beige in one makeup company is going to be a completely different beige in the next, even from product to product in the own makeup company. And just on Amazon, it was a bit of a struggle to find my exact shade, and it depends obviously what's available. So one thing with that is that I always had to compare it. I literally googled like Maybelline Fit Me foundation shades or swatches or stuff like that, and they'll be able to break it up from cool tone, warm tone, olive tone, you know, stuff like that. I am specifically warm tone. So basically, to find your skin tone, a quick, easy way is just to look at your veins that pop through. So if your veins are looking greenish, which mine are, it means you have a warm tone. If your veins are looking purple or bluish, that means you have a cool tone, undertone. But if you have both, like maybe your veins on your lids look blue and then the others on your wrist look green, you have a neutral undertone. There are also like the olive undertones, I believe it's more yellowish. So if you have blue or green veins that peek through, so that's basically where to start. If you want to start anywhere, that's basically most of the foundations, they start with your undertone, and then with the beast of, you know, color matching it. And again, it depends on the foundation. A lot of the times I'm medium with warm undertones, but sometimes it's light to medium depending on the foundation, and I'm still looking, and there's no 100% match. But what I did do was buy pigments. So L.A Girl did release mixing pigments with a white, a blue, an orange, and a yellow, and we'll get into that once I pull the products. If you don't have your exact shade, whatever shade you think you are, and if that's sold out, you can buy one shade lighter and one shade darker. You can mix it how you want it. It always depends, but I would easy bet just half a pump of the light one and half a pump of the darker one, and you get somewhere in the middle, you will get your actual foundation. So as I go through them, I will show overlays of the foundation and how it applies. Obviously, it all depends as far as light to medium range. I did buy a couple skin tints and I just did include them as foundations because it's more of the your skin but better scenario. You're not looking for that faux coverage, you're just looking for an even skin tone. I just want to list all the different factors that might play into selecting a foundation before I get into actual foundations that I selected, just in case maybe if you're like lost, I don't know where to start, this is a good foundation to start with. Know your undertone, know if you have dry combination or oily skin, to look for a specific finish that you're looking for, and then you can start. This is the final big boss, is the actual color or the complexion that you're looking for. So once you get those out of the way, then you can start looking for your foundation. If you tend to have dry skin, you definitely want to go for more of a dewy finish. Means it leaves your skin looking more hydrated. If you have oily skin, you definitely want to go towards a matte foundation because you don't want oil on top of oils. It's just going to look like a butterball, okay? You don't want to look for that. if you have a combination skin, meaning during the T-zone right here, it's typically oily, but everywhere else is dry. You want to go for more of a natural finish, or you can do both. Honestly, it's up to you. I'm not a makeup professional. This is just tips and tricks I learned over the way from other YouTubers who inform me about these things. And I do like to be educated and just, you know what I'm getting into. It's just foundation. It's nothing ever serious. No offense, y'all. But there was this one girl in high school, and she would never blend her foundation down to her neck. But even when she did, it was orange, child. It was orange. And that's, I'm just saying, it's a hard thing to do, but I just don't want to look like that sometimes. And I think some people try to tell her in a nice way, but I think she was very adamant, no, this is my skin tone. I'm like, okay, sis, do what you want to do. But yeah, you definitely don't want a whole demarcation. It's hard. It's not an easy thing. It's really not. I will show you, there are a couple foundations that are included in this roundup that I've previously purchased, and I know it's just sitting in my drawer, so I'll pull it out later. So personally, I definitely like a medium to full coverage. I learned that once I picked up a skin tint. But anything like that, you can always just add an extra pump to build up the foundation. Now, that's up to a certain extent. You just can't keep adding pumps and pumps and pumps of foundation just to build up the coverage. If it's a light to medium, or if it's a skin tint, you're going to only go but so far. It's not meant to be a full coverage. But in that retrospect, you also want to be cautious of having cake face. Sometimes you can tell, say you're renting a room, and you can tell we're on layer number 15 of that coat of paint, and they just keep painting over and over and over, and it just doesn't look good. That's what we're gonna get if you keep doing that. I can't recall if any of these are dewy matte or natural finishes, and I can't recall if any of these are light to medium or medium to full coverage. So another thing I did with most of these foundations, I did go online to each individual retailer like Maybelline, L'Oreal, things like that, and tried to find my perfect match. So what they did was basically they took a picture of my face, and I believe I rotated my face from left to right, and they scanned my face, and they told me 3 of my best matches for foundations. Some of these do tell me their finishes. So this first one we're going to start with is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation, and it does have a matte finish, and this is in the shade Medium Olive. A lot of these foundations, if they're released within the same line, like the Can't Stop Won't Stop, they tend to keep the same shade range, and they'll just cross it over. So they'll have medium olive for the concealer and the foundation. However, I do like to go one shade lighter to brighten up my under eyes, because I do it under my eyes, my nose, my forehead, and my chin, obviously the T-zone. And I do like to brighten. If you prefer, you can get it obviously within the same skin tone, and just for added coverage. It's all up to preference. Everyone's different. So in the concealer, I did get True Beige. For the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop, I did their color matching on the website. So the best first match was Medium Olive, 9. The second best match was 7.5 Soft Beige. And the third best match was 10 in the shade Buff. This is in no particular order from best to worst of these I recommend, but these are just the most recommended out there on the internet. Obviously there's more. I might do a second part to this. There's enough foundations out there from the drugstore to make a second video to this, and that might be in the works, but right now this is what I have. So the next one is the Superstay Active Wear Foundation, and it doesn't say what the finish is. I got this in the shade 220, and the concealer I got in the shade 27. So it basically says up to 30 hours of wear. I don't know why you would want that for a foundation. I believe Nikki De La Rose did a video similar to this where she tried every single drugstore foundation, and she is a makeup artist. So if you want a full in-depth review and recommendations on all these drugstore foundations, she does have a long video. It's about an hour and a half, but it's all encompassing. But she is right. Who needs to wear a 30-hour foundation? Why? What are you doing? Take it off. Okay, so 30-hour wear, full coverage, light as air, transfer resistant. Oh, there it is. I found it. So it does say it does have a matte finish, and it is oil free as well. So when I went on the website, 220 was my best match, so that's the one I picked up. But it is a bit on the lighter end. I'm currently wearing this, but I had to mix it with the L'Oreal Radiant Sun, which is a little bit darker for me. The second best match was 310, which is way too warm and pink leaning. So it's not my second best match, but that's what they recommend on the website, 310. And the third best match was 128, which is definitely on the lighter end. Okay, so next up on the most recommended drugstore foundations is the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation. This is in the shade Radiant Sun. This is definitely a little bit too dark tone for me, and this is $4.82, and that's what I found with all the most recommended foundations on their website. They all were darker than my actual skin tone. Listen, I took the scanning of my face all under ring light and all in the same conditions, so they all range. I tried to go online and it doesn't tell me the finish that it's supposed to be. It just says breathable, lightweight, buildable, transfer resistant, 24 hours worth. Don't need that. And on the tags on the website, it does say natural finish. It tags foundation, liquid makeup, suitable for all skin types, but that's not how it's describing it on the website. So, and it's just tagging it on the bottom. So I don't want to include that as what the finish is supposed to be because it doesn't tell me. And I got the matching concealer in the shade 365 Cashew. So on the website, the best match for me was a 482 Radiant Sun. The second first option, I don't know, it says best match option 1 and option 2 for L'Oreal. The option 1 was the Golden Sun and the option 2 was Warm Almond. Way too dark for me. That's like 7 shades way too darker for me. So on the website, it does says I have fair and warm undertone, which it's true. Fair, light to medium, depending on the foundation. But if you're telling me I have a fair skin tone, why are you matching me with warm almond? That's just does not compute. I don't understand that. And it's clearly way too deep for me. But anyways, even this, their best match for me, the Radiant Sun, is a little bit on the deeper end. So the next recommended foundation is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. It's supposed to be a foundation and a concealer, however you please to use it. And the shade I picked up was 05A Natural Beige. And the corresponding concealer, I did pick up the 135 Medium Beige. So it says it is medium to full coverage, long wear, waterproof, and sweat proof. So with Milani, they only matched me with one, and it says my best match was shade 03A1 Pure Beige, but it definitely was more peach leaning, so I did not pick that one up. And for concealer, they did match me with the 140 Pure, but it was much darker. I went with like one shade lighter pretty much. Those are specifically all the foundations that I went online and used their system to tell me which one was my best match. The rest I kind of just eyeballed. I just went with my gut and just picked from what I know from my skin tone. So the next of the most recommended drugstore foundations is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation in the shade W6 Warm Medium. And for the matching concealer, I got the shade W5 Medium. Like I said, I like to go one above. So the next two I want to talk about are the Maybelline. So this is the Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint in the shade 220. It says buildable skin light coverage, weightless with a natural radiant finish. So it is resistant to sweat, water, and transfer. Again, it is a skin tint. It's your skin but better kind of scenario. And in the demo, I did use the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade 20. And it is sand. And I also, on the other side, I did use the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser in the multi-use concealer in the shade 122. So the next one is a bit of a controversial one, I guess. There's mixed reviews on this one. Some people love it, some people don't. This is the NYX Professional Bare With Me Blur Tint Foundation, and it is in the shade Light Medium. So it says it is a medium coverage with a matte blurred finish. It's definitely more on the foundation side. It definitely has more coverage than a skin tint. So I would use this as a foundation. This one was a freebie. I got this with my order. So then I went ahead and ordered the blurring skin tint. You got me. But this is the Bare With Me Concealer Serum in the shade Beige. So again, when I was demoing these, I just applied them, blended it. I showed you with the foundation. And then I did the concealer, blended the concealer, and showed you the concealer and the foundation, and I just took it right off right next after. So I can't really speak to any of these as far as longevity goes. I just wanted to demo you these shades. So the next one, it came in a set off of Amazon. It came in a bundle set pretty much. So this is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Powder in the shade Translucent. I haven't opened it yet and used it. These next three, however, I did use. I just wanted to show you because it came in the set. It basically comes with a concealer, a contour, and a highlighter. So this is the Milani Liquid Highlighter Illuminator Conceal and Perfect in the shade 2 Stardust. I did not use this one. I was focusing more on the concealer and contour. This is the Milani Under Eye Brightener Conceal and Perfect number 2 Melon. This is definitely more pink leaning, and I had to use some blue pigment to make it less warm to cool it up a little bit more because it was too pink leaning. And this is the Milani Liquid Contour Conceal and Perfect shade 2 Ginger. And this is perfect. I love this. It's a little bit messy in the caps, but I definitely love the sponge applicator. It just makes it nice and easy. I guess I can show you right now, actually. Well, I did way too much. I couldn't see what I was doing. I'm just gonna get this all off my hand right now. So the next two are color correcting concealers. So this is the Catrice Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer in the shade 400 Peach. And this goes underneath my eyes to neutralize my dark circles pretty much. So this basically brings me to my next topic, the color wheel, to basically, you know, color correct. So basically, from what I'm understanding, if you are trying to neutralize any one of these colors, you basically use the other color to neutralize. So let's say you're trying to neutralize that, any blue green, so you're going to use opposite of you, so it's a red orange. So that's basically the whole thing. And same thing when you have any redness, you want to use green to neutralize that redness. Okay, another way to utilize this color wheel is basically whatever's opposite to it, it's complementary colors. So if you have yellow, blue is definitely a complementary color. So obviously on the color wheel, you have your cool colors, and then on the other side you have your warm colors. And if you're trying to move from one color to the next, you basically use like a transition shade, practically what it is. So if you're trying to move from yellow to red, you're going to use these colors in between to basically transition. So yes, long story short, that is how you color correct. So I use the orange color, pretty much, they call it peach, it's pretty much red orange. I use the orange to neutralize any of my dark circles, and I use the green to neutralize any of the redness I get in my cheeks. These are two of the other foundations and concealers that are highly recommended. So the next one is the Catrice HD Liquid Foundation. It is mattifying, it says water and sweat proof, and it has niacinamide. So I got 3 shades. Obviously I got these off of Amazon, so it's kind of slim picking. And that's how it was with the next one. Basically got a lighter tone, my actual skin tone, and then one darker than that. So the lighter tone is the 32 Nude Beige. The one that matches me the most is the 35 Natural Beige. And then one shade darker obviously is the 48 Desert Beige. So the next one is the Catrice True Skin Hydrating Foundation, and it has hyaluronic acid and it claims long wear, and it says it is a natural matte finish. This one was the one where I definitely had to order one light one and one darker than my actual skin tone, because the one at the time that I was purchasing it did not have my actual skin tone. Now obviously it has since been available. So the one light tone, this is the 45 Cool Chai. My actual skin tone is the 46 Neutral Toffee, and this is probably 2 or 3 shades darker. This is the 65 Warm Cinnamon. I don't know what happened, the sticker must have fallen off at some point, but I did have to label it. And I did pick up 2 concealers, one that is my actual skin tone, and then one is darker. So I picked up the 39 Warm Olive, and then I picked up the 46 Warm Toffee. But L.A. Girl did release these in addition to a full foundation line, and basically the idea was to mix to get your own foundation pigment. So for me, that's possible. I don't know for anything darker, because I also did 1 pump of each, mix them into one foundation shade, and it does match me pretty well. But I don't know if it can go any deeper than this. So that's the concern. But obviously, this is intended to mix with an already existing foundation. It's not meant to mix to create your foundation shade. It enables you to mix what you already have to either go lighter, cooler, warmer, more olive tone, things like that. So this is the L.A. Girl Pro Color Foundation Mixing Pigment in the shade White. So it's intended to lighten your foundation pretty much. So this one is the Mixing Pigment Blue, and it is intended to make your foundation more of a cooler tone. This is the Mixing Pigment in the shade Orange. It is intended to shift deeper shades into a warmer skin tone. Alrighty, and lastly, this is Mixing Pigment in the shade Yellow. So this is intended to shift lighter shades to a warmer skin tone. So yeah, that is everything. Those are all the top 10 recommended drugstore foundations. If you watch this video all the way through, comment down a little artiste brush, like, comment, subscribe because YouTube makes me say this, and yeah, bye!